build himself a new capital. Incredibly, he chooses to build a city bigger than London, on a ridge in an isolated location. It would be a monument to absolute power. It would say to the world, the Mughals have arrived. The Mughals were great builders of monumental palaces and fortresses. Under Akbar the Great, one of their most remarkable achievements was the building of a new capital city to rival the biggest in Europe. It was called Fatehpur Sikri, built on an arid ridge in an unpopulated region, 20 miles away from the old capital at Agra. Akbar was directly involved in its design. The city gates would be guarded by his elephants. Inside, he envisioned a series of buildings, palaces, courtyards, and pavilions, over 100 in all, interlinked into a massive complex 6 miles in circumference. Like the pyramids, thousands of workers and slaves worked on it for 16 years, hauling red sandstone from a nearby quarry. Akbar personally supervised the construction and was even said to help build it. A project so elaborate, so ambitious, its achievement has never been surpassed. And incredibly, much of it has survived intact. The project was no mere folly. The isolation of the location was intentional. Akbar planned to move his entire court there, including the grandees of the vast regions of his empire. He took all those who might challenge his rule and put them in a gilded cage where he could keep his eye on them. But the remote location came with a price. It was an arid land which only had water when the rains came, and they only came 1 month per year. A city with hundreds of thousands of residents and no water supply. Even this did not stop Akbar. He ordered the building of a massive dam with 13 gates. It would create a shallow, artificial lake when the monsoon rains came each year. But Akbar's engineers had another challenge: how to get the water from the lake all the way up into the city, hundreds of feet above. It's a mystery to archaeologists, but this painting documenting the building of the city may provide the clue. It shows Persian water wheels in precisely the place where archaeologists said the water lifters once were. Akbar's engineers used this ingenious lifting system to bring water uphill from the lake to the city in stages. As the wheel was turned, the buckets were filled, raised up, and emptied. The process was repeated to bring the water up to the highest level of the city. Gravity then brought the water back down through a complex system of channels, pools, and reservoirs. This is a hot place, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer. Water systems were used like early air conditioning, running through the buildings, evaporating and cooling them down. Water also provided bathing pools for hygiene, relaxation, and entertaining. Bringing water to this parched land was a desert nomad's dream. And the imperial capital Akbar built shows he was still a nomad in his soul. The city is laid out like a nomad's camp. Canopies look like they're domed tents, projecting Mughal power. And like a desert camp, the entire city was constructed without mortar. Building components were manufactured off-site, then transported to Fatehpur Sikri and locked together, just as the Mughals once put up their wood and tent cities. Akbar's builders even took the wooden structures of the camps and rendered them in stone.
Culturally speaking, that was the moment in which a tradition that was essentially domestic and based on timber moved into monument, and it was then transferred into stone. See this paneling. If you go, for instance, to Central Asia or Iran, this would be a ceiling, but made out of wood. And here became stone.
Akbar built a Divani Khas, a translation into stone of the tent in a Mughal camp designed for meditation. People would gather to hear the words of their leader. Up above, sitting at the top of the central column, Akbar the Great, mysteriously concealed, would begin to speak.
So imagine Akbar sitting in the dark on top, talking to the people here in a very high philosophical, symbolic way.
Akbar made Fatehpur Sikri the center of religious tolerance. Every Thursday, he invited representatives of different religions, Islam, Hinduism, Christianity, to debate religious issues before him, so that he could understand the value of each.